Chamath, you mentioned rocket fuel, and it's a loaded question, but nonetheless, maybe the epitome of all of this is Tesla, which is up 700+% over the last year. I think you're still a shareholder, right? Have you sold any shares? What do you make of that in and of itself? 700% in a year? Elon Musk is now the richest person in the world as of today, passes Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, it's really incredible, actually. I mean, he's somebody I've known for a really long time. I've looked up to him for a long time. And here's what I would say, that he built a great car company, and somewhere along the way, about 5 or 6 years ago, what I thought he was building was an energy company, and that eventually people would realize that climate change actually mattered. And it's taken 5 or 6 years for everybody to realize the same thing, and he's being rewarded. The world's richest person should be somebody that's fixing and fighting climate change. I think the reality is that Tesla is a distributed energy business, right? They are figuring out how to harness energy, how to store it, and then how to use it in a way to allow humans to be productive. Cars are a manifestation, but solar panels are as well, power walls are as well. And I'm telling you right now, Scott, the big disruption that's coming is to power utilities. There are trillions of dollars of bonds, of capex, of value sitting inside the energy generation infrastructure of the world that is going to go upside down. And when that goes pear-shaped, Tesla will double and triple again. And I think, I tweeted this a while ago, that I thought the world's first trillionaire would be a person fighting climate change. It very well could be Elon, but if it's not him, it'll be somebody like him. But it'll be because of this. Delivering clean energy, allowing the world to be sustainable, is an incredibly important thing that will be rewarded by markets and individuals.
And you're just going to ride, you said 2 or 3 times higher than where it is now. You're just going to ride that wave?
Scott, I don't understand why people are so focused on selling things that work. Let's just, I'll make up a number. Let's just say I owned $1 billion of Tesla stock. If I sold it, now I have $1 billion problem. What do I do with that money? What about if it was 100 million? What about if it was just 10,000? 10 billion? It doesn't matter what the number is. The point is that when things are working, you're paid to stay with people that know what they're doing. And this is a guy who has consistently been one of the most important entrepreneurs in the world. And so why bet against him? It's the same thing with Bezos. Why bet against him? And there are a handful of other people. Anthony Noto, who we just talked to today, is yet another person. You get behind these people who have incredibly strong character, who know what they're doing, who aren't going to bend to short-term profits, and who are just going to drive the train for 10 or 20 years and make the world a better place. Get behind them. The best way to summarize this, by the way, is a friend of ours who we mentioned earlier, Bill Gurley, has this great phrase: when the music's on, you got to dance. And so these guys are dancing. They are in rhythm. They're in flow. Let them do their thing. Get behind them. Don't sell a share. Just let them create value.
All right, Chamath, we don't have that much time left. Let's talk rocket ships. First, Bitcoin. That falls into that category because that's what that is. 39,000. Where's it going?
I mean, can you play the clip in 2012 and 13 when it was at 200 and everybody was laughing at me on CNBC every time I would talk about Bitcoin? Where is it going? It's probably going to 100, then 150, then 200,000. In what period? I don't know. 5 years, 10 years, but it's going there. And the reason is because every time you see all of this stuff happening, it just reminds you that, wow, our leaders are not as trustworthy and reliable as they used to be. And so just in case, we really do need to have some kind of insurance we can keep under our pillow that gives us some access to an uncorrelated hedge. And it's going to eventually transition to something much more important. But for right now, you're just getting all these data points that prove this thing. It's just the fabric of society is frayed. And until we figure out how to make it better, it's time to just have a little schmuck insurance on the side. And everybody's running in. It's just an incredible thing. I could never have imagined it.
You were an early Facebook employee. You've been critical of that company. What are your thoughts on what Twitter has announced? Facebook now says that they're going to ban President Trump throughout the remainder of his term, which is a couple of weeks. How are you thinking about this today?
let me just tell you what I feel as an ex-employee. What I'm thinking to myself is that if I was working at Facebook today, I would be confused. And largely because I would wonder what changed from 6 months ago, 1 year ago, 24 months ago, and today. The disinformation was the same. The amount of sort of vitriol that flowed through some of the groups was the same. Their ability to organize was the same. Storm the Capitol existed before they actually stormed the Capitol. Unfortunately, the skeptical part of me says we optimized for short-term profitability at the sake of our democracy, and what we left in tatters was any sense that there was any sort of moral or ethical imperative that would govern decision-making at that company. And so that saddens me for the people that work there. As a business person, I think we're also slightly to blame because we've sort of said that that's okay because we've been enamored with the short-term profitability of Facebook. So I think in a nutshell, I think Anthony is right that we are collectively a part of this problem. I don't think it's theirs of their own making. If the feedback loop to Facebook was fix this problem, otherwise we will sell your stock, they would have fixed it a long time ago. Instead, it was you're rich, get richer, we'll support you. And this is what happens, Scott.
Of both Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg, you've got blood on your hands, Jack and Zuck. For 4 years, you've rationalized this terror. Inciting violent treason is not a free speech exercise. If you work at those companies, it's on you too. Shut it down. I
think the thing with Twitter is I actually think they're less to blame. And the reason is because the product is designed for everybody to be able to follow everybody else. So there is an incredible free flow of information. It does create a different problem, which is how do you construct a healthy social media diet? But that's what the problem is on Twitter. The problem on Facebook is different, which is it amplifies echo chambers on purpose and by design. And so if you're somebody who, for whatever reason, feels disenfranchised, you can find a corner of the internet where you can amplify your worst fears. And unfortunately, 90% of that activity now happens inside of Facebook. The reality is that I think we've all realized after today that Section 230 is a fig leaf, that there is no way that these companies can hide behind it, that Facebook is a publisher, that they should be held to the same account as any television station or any newspaper, and that's okay. And they should just figure out how to adapt the product and move on. The thing about today, which I think is just unfortunate, is backpedaling is just kind of spineless, right? For example, Kelly Loeffler can't go into the floor of the Senate and all of a sudden change her mind because there was rioting and 4 deaths. That's what it took. But everything else, it didn't change the actual perspective of whether there was voter fraud or not. And so all these fig leaves, people see through them and people know them to be fake. And so we just have to have a real come to Jesus in this country about what's really important. Front of the line is Facebook because they are algorithmically deciding. There are people inside of that company that are building these things that are amplifying the lobotomization, the intellectual cornering of people so that they cannot learn what's really happening, so that their worst fears and their worst concerns are amplified. And we need to do a better job of understanding that that diet is unhealthy, that now that you sell cigarettes that cause cancer, there needs to be labels, they need to be put behind the counter, they need to be far away from a children's reach. These things need to happen, and the equivalent version of that drives this decision-making online is Section 230. It has to change.
The other rocket I want to talk to you about, and I know people are interested in this, Virgin Galactic, the company, maybe it was your first SPAC deal. I think it was. You sold a fair amount of that, 38% or so, 40% around there. Why?
No, it was less than that. I sold a portion, 3.8 million shares of just the PIPE, my overall holdings. And it was literally just to make sure that I had the right liquidity to do all the things that I planned to do in 2021. But I really believe in that business. It's an incredible team. It's an incredible product. I think the way that they're thinking about it, our CEO, Michael Kohlglazer, is just so impressive. One of the top executives from Disney that we were able to lure over. The team he's building is amazing. I'm really, really excited about that business, and I'm just really proud to be around him.
I ask you because some people took that sale as maybe a lack of going to go. I'm sure you understand that.
if and when, I think it's probably more when than if, I have 10 times the capital that I do now, I'll be able to manage my liquidity in a different way. But, at the end of the day, I'm trying to move a lot of balls forward. I'm making multiple billions of dollars of investments this year into climate change. I'm going to try something really disruptive in student loans. And all of that takes money. And so, I just have to be able to manage everything in my infrastructure to make sure that I can do all of these things. And that's what it was.
You tell us about your next big thing when you're ready. It's good having you as always. You be well. Happy New Year. We'll see you soon.
If you guys haven't joined the investing family yet, why not consider joining by clicking that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on. You guys have a tremendous day. I have so much love for you guys, continuing to support this channel, continuing to gain value from this channel each and every day. So please do comment those thoughts below, and I'll see you in my next video. Invest safe.